Hey, welcome back to Tuesday afternoon.
Hi everybody, it's Tuesday and welcome back. And today we're making posable Cuphead, Mugman, and Chalice sculptures in honor of the amazing DLC that just came out. I love Cupheads. We're going to start out with the original Sculpting for this sculpture, and we're actually going to use a method of slump molding to create the cups. I picked out an object that is the size I wanted my cup to be, and I'm also going to use this same method to make the mug. I'm just going to make it just a tad bit longer. Here I'm cutting it, but I would just cut it a little bit farther up for Mugman. You can always use plastic wrap over this, but you're going to need to sand the inside, and this is actually for Chalice. Even though she is a Chalice, her head is very similar height to Cuphead and Mugman, so I am going to use a smaller inner for the slump mold, and then I'm going to put on a rim. And here you can see the plastic wrap. I went ahead and put that in the oven for 275 for 25 minutes, and then I'm going to sand it. And there we go. See, the mug is slightly bigger. Next, we're going to work on the eyes. Just roll out some clay and then cut out the shape of the eye. This is Mugman's eye, and then I'm going to smooth it out with my finger and then apply it to his mug. There we go. I'm going to smooth it out again, getting the correct size I want. You can always kind of shift the clay onto the surface. And then we're going to make his pupils, and I'm going to smooth it out to the correct size and then cut out the area where I want the little shine mark to be. You can always clean this up after it's been out of the oven. Take an X-Acto knife and make those edges look really sharp. Here I'm making Mugman's nose. Looks good. And we're going to draw out his mouth here. After you draw it out, you're going to want to cut it out. Be very careful with your X-Acto knife. Here I'm making his little cheeks because we want that look that he's a cartoon character, so we're going to smooth it out onto the surface, kind of gradually going into the already baked clay. And here's what his nose looks like on. I'm going to actually go ahead and glue his nose on later when he's all finished. Here I'm going to do the inside of his mouth, and also that will be the inside of the cup. So I'm going to smooth on some clay, and I'm going to hold that foil in place. Here I'm covering the top of the foil, which will be the liquid inside of Mugman's head. And here I'm making his tongue. Don't forget to put the little line down the center. Next, we're going to be making the handle. Very simple, just a rolled out piece of clay, and I'm going to actually smooth that onto the surface so it connects really nice onto his mug. And there you go. I'm going to go ahead and bake that in the oven once I have the rest of them done. Here we are making Mugman, and it's just a U-shaped piece of clay, and then we're going to add his pupils on, just like we did with Mugman. Remember, you can always clean up those little shine marks after it's out of the oven. And here is his nose, quite a bit different than Mugman's. Here we're going to cut out his mouth. And I decided on this position of the mouth because this is classic Cuphead. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and clean up the edges. I want kind of a thin area on the bottom side of the mouth so it has that cartoony look. And then we're just going to do the same thing we did with Mugman. We're going to smooth out some clay on the inner part of his mouth. Make sure you're holding that foil into place because you really don't want that shifting around when you're covering the inside of the mouth. You're going to add his tongue in with the line and go ahead and put the handle on. If you're going to make Chalice, this is a great time to do it. Make them all three together, stick them in the oven together. I'm going to warn you though that I didn't think these sculptures would take a long time to make, but they did. I put them in the oven at 275 for another 25 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and make the hands next. I went ahead and made his classic fisted hands, but I also made some open hands for Chalice because I wanted her to have that pose she has at the very beginning of the game. Just really love the menu and how they sway back and forth. And I wanted to have them on display like that. After you get your hands, your fingers all done, you're going to want to move them into a fist position, and you're going to want to put the cuff on the hand and smooth it out. And then you're going to want to put a hole in the center so the wire can go through. I'm going to actually smooth out the cuff onto the area that's not seen because I want that cuff to stay in place really well, and you're not really going to see it, so it doesn't matter. Here I'm going to put the lines on the hands, and I think they're done. Go ahead and make all the hands together and then bake them in the oven at 275 for 28 minutes. Here I'm going to next make the shoes for Cuphead and Mugman. And it's just a really easy shape. I want them to have a little bit of weight, so I'm not going to put any foil because this will allow them to be able to stand up very easily. It's going to balance the weight, and I want to have them stand nicely. So here I'm just making a cartoony shape and working out the area of the shoe. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I really love making these tutorials for you, and I work hours upon hours every day on these sculptures, and I'm just so happy that I am able to bring these tutorials to you, and maybe you can make something that you've always wanted. I used $21 in supplies for each sculpture. Just imagine how much this would cost if you were to purchase it from a manufacturer or from an artist. It would cost you much, much more. And I just want to show you what you can get if you just teach yourself how to make these sculptures yourself. I know it can look overwhelming, but my videos pretty much show how easy it is to make them, and I'm going to try my best to help you be able to make a sculpture of your very own. Next, I'm going to show you how to make part of Chalice's foot and her leg. It's a very special technique that we're going to finish off later on in the video. But first, preparation for that process. We're going to build up the clay around the part where the wire goes into. What we're going to do is try to make the leg look like it's all one piece, when in actuality it's a piece of clay and the posable portion of the leg. And remember, when you're doing the rim of the shoe, you want it very deep, because what we're going to do is we're going to take that t-shirt material, we're going to cut it, and then we're going to push it into that crevice, because you want it to have like this seamless appearance. You don't want to be able to tell that there is this extra material. I did this because I wanted her legs to look like they were one piece, but I still wanted them to have clay feet and material legs. So this will kind of be an illusion of a leg. Anyways, it will make sense when you see the rest of the process. Here I'm making the straws, and I actually want the straw to have a hole in it. You can actually make these out of Bristol paper, but I went ahead and made them out of clay because you never know what could happen and they could fall over and that would be a whole mess. So here I'm making the torso, and I'm going to put a hole in for the neck and the arms and the legs. I don't have this very thick, the clay over the foil, but I don't want it very heavy because I want most of the weight in the feet so he stays balanced and he can stand on his own. You're going to want to bake that clay in the oven for 275, and then after it's all done, you can paint it. Don't bake anything with paint on it. Here are the colors I used, and if you want, you can paint Chalice yellow if you don't have the gold for the rim and the handles. But I wanted to show both, what it would look like with yellow paint and with gold paint, and I really love the gold paint. Here we're going to make the posable part of the arms, and it's just a piece of wire. Always wear eye protection. And then we're going to wrap our stuffing around it after the wire has been glued into place. I'm going to cover this in a t-shirt material, And then I'm going to push the t-shirt material down into the area where we made the cuffs. I have the seam on the back, and then I'm going to just repeat the process with the legs. And I'm going to use a tool and push down into the cuff of the pants. And there you go. Pretty easy. I've shown how to do this before and it looks great. I'm going to go ahead and paint that black. That will be the base color, and then paint it a light gray. Here we go. We're making Chalice's legs, and this is how I do it. I put a little bit of Sobo glue down, and then I'm going to work the material into the crevice, and then I'm going to pull it out and then cut it where I see the little line that was made where I pushed it in, and then just push it back in. Just stretch it around the leg and pull it around. I think this is pretty cool, and she fits right in with the other characters, and you can't see the seam, and that is amazing. What do you think? Do you like it? Next, we're going to paint it, and when you're doing this, don't add a lot of water because you don't want t-shirt material to pull away from the polymer clay. It's going to shrink and then it's going to pull, and you don't want it to do that. So here you go. Next, I'm going to go ahead and paint their legs, and it's all done. Let me know what you think below. And I went ahead and make the clothing. It's pretty easy, just scrap material. And her little pantaloons are just I took a fitted bed sheet and I used the edge of the bed sheet to give it a really nice decorative pattern. Don't be using a good bed sheet though. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed this. Like and subscribe if you like my content. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.